Fucking clankers. Fucking clankers. Fucking clankers.
Don't be fooled by them rocks that I got. I'm still Jimmy from the block. What's up, everybody? Hello. I used to sing that in karaoke.
I wondered, were you a chick magnet when you sang that in karaoke?
They used to get me. They used to get me really sauced, which wasn't hard to do back in the day.
Yeah, it's like here, drink this.
And I had a couple of karaoke songs, and Jenny from the Block was big, and so I changed it to Jimmy from the Block, and that's what I would do.
Well, okay, wait. I'm keeping us on point here, Jimmy from the Block, because today we have such a special guest. We have an author friend of ours that goes back to our book trope days, and he is Terry Persun, as in, he's awesome. And I have an intro for you, Terry, that the Clankers wrote for you. I thought it was so appropriate. So here's what the Clankers say about you, our special guest. Terry Persun is a multi-genre, award-winning author and marketing expert. Known for his intelligent, tech-forward fiction, he has written over a dozen novels across science fiction, mystery, and historical genres. A former electronics design engineer, which is a person after my own heart, because that's my AFAB that lives right up there, and U.S. Air Force veteran. He actively blends his technical background with rich storytelling. Okay, so did AI get it right, Terry?
Oh, yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah, I mean, all it does is go out there and collect information from everywhere else and snap it together. So, that's as good as you can get.
We were just looking to see if there was some conspiracy though going on, because we never trust the clankers at first clank. So,
well, they miss a lot of things. Like like I emailed to you before that. I've been involved with the spiritual stuff, numerology and tarot reading and shamanism and things like that for years. I've worked with horses and, psychological information and talking to horses to get people to open up and things like that. So I've done all these other things too, but the clankers are only going to find what they find. So
that's pretty interesting, bro, about the horses, because our friend Abigail, who we're actually going to be on live stream with her tonight, she does similar stuff to that. She does Reiki with animals and stuff. And
she sure does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You are, and I caught on your I went on your website, which I have links to in the show notes, but it says that you also like hiking, which that's totally me, and Native American lore, which I was really interested in. And that reminded Jesse when I told him that you also are writing a new series about a shaman detective. Is that right?
Yes, I've already written a couple of them. I may end up going back and writing more. I've written 3. And then, I kind of move around and do whatever I want. I've never been the kind of guy to stick with one thing. For years and years, the publishers and agents and stuff say, stick with one genre, do one thing. But that would just bore the shit out of me.
I know, right? It's boring, huh? Yeah. I mean, I really want to read this shop because I guess you wrote that stuff since we used to work together. We knew each other,
Mm-hmm.
Like you were writing a lot of sci-fi, like Revision 7 DNA and Cathedral of Dreams. And you had Double Sight, which I guess is more fantasy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The one I really want to read is The Witness Tree. I just added it to my Goodreads because I was reading somebody else's review of it. And I know I have to read part of this review. It says, so many books I read leave me with the feeling that the author's ulterior motive is to sell the story to a studio willing to make it into a movie. I never got that feeling with The Witness Tree. The personal journeys that Lewis and the tree make are cerebral, not active, not always literal. The story reads more like poetry, painting experiences and feelings onto the reader's mind. Certainly not enough car chases to make a blockbuster blockbuster movie. I can imagine readers of this book running out and buying up art supplies and disappearing into a forest somewhere trying to recreate the transcendence, the communal relationship with nature that Lewis experiences only without the pain. Good luck with that. I just love that. And then he says, if you're compelled after you like close the cover, if you're compelled to buy an extra copy or give your copy to the local tiny library, then you need to do it, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
High praise.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I have not read that review. But, that's my very first novel.
Is it?
Yeah, I feel like I've read parts of that, bro.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, but I feel like I have. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to. I'm just
book.
dying. I added it to my shelf on Goodreads. Ooh.
Because didn't you republish it at one point back when we were? Yeah. Okay. That's how I've read parts of that, and it's amazing, Jen. You should totally check it out.
I know because
it's been published now by 3 or 4 different publishers, including Book Trope. Now I just do it myself, but that one's been passed around a lot, and it's one of Nicole's favorites, actually, my daughter. So it's an odd book, but as the first book, I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just writing things I knew and understood and cared about. And so a lot of it's nature, very much because I hike, a fair amount of, at that time, painting, because I was doing a lot of painting at the time. So it just, all those little pieces of your life, how it is. You both write.
Yeah.
Your life comes through this stuff one way or another, no matter how it is. So it's kind of cool.
When I think nostalgically about writing, it's that first book. You know what I mean? When like independent publishing, all that stuff was like not that it was new, but the what we were into, the Twitter and the ebooks and all that stuff. And like you're just writing this thing. You're not thinking about how you're going to market it. You're not thinking about like what happens after you write it. You don't think anything is going to happen with it. Really, you're like, I guess I'll just give copies of this away to my friends and stuff, maybe, Yeah. And it was the freest writing experience I think I've ever had, because your mind isn't all full of okay, well, what does the audience want? What is this? How am I going to market this? Who do I think is going to read this? How am I going to promote this? You're not thinking about any of that stuff. You're just like trying to get your story out.
Yeah, it's the best time, isn't it? What you're saying, that if you think nostalgically about, your writing, I usually go back to that book, but I also go back to poetry because that's where I started. And just those moments that you're out in the middle of the woods, sitting, and you've got your notebook with you, and just somehow things are downloaded, and exactly.
I just held up a field notebook. I carry one everywhere I go.
Isn't that great? I have a friend who runs his own publishing company here in town, Winter Texts, and he's done a couple of kind of field books like that.
Yeah,
he goes out and wanders. He's wandered through Thailand. He's gone all over the place, and he just takes the notebook with him and writes down his thoughts. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, don't you think that's kind of what we're supposed to be doing ultimately, is being out in the world and like, that's where it hits you, And
interpreting that world around you, because nobody else can do that. Nobody can interpret through you. Only you can. And that's, your AI stuff. That goes back to that. It's just useless. All it does is feed you back what you gave it. It's in a different format. It's just insane. I was at a trade show in February for design engineers, and I was talking to one engineer, and he said something I thought was perfect about AI. And I was asking him what they use and whether they like it. And he said, I look at AI as a stagnation point, because all it does is give me information that I already know. And he said, so there's no creativity, there's no innovation, there's nothing brand new that you can get from it. And I've been interviewing different engineers at different companies for a while, for years. And I'm hearing that from so many other engineers. But you have to remember, painting and artwork and engineering, they're all creative things. In fact, I think people in general are creative people, and that's what they do. And relying on a machine to figure everything out for you just seems ridiculous to me. You know,
Yeah,
weird.
I think so too.
I don't understand the point of it, because so why, if you're just going to let that thing, which is basically advanced Google or something, you know what I mean? Like it's an advanced Google search. If you're going to let that thing create a thing, then what's the point in actually creating the thing? That's the joy for me, is the process of creation. So why do I want to use that thing to do anything?
It's a math tool, it's a glorified calculator, I guess. I mean, it does more than that. Of course, it does more than that. And it can be used for interesting things. But at the same time, I have quotes that I pull out all the time from different articles. And one of them is, when models are fed flawed, biased, or fabricated data, they consistently produce outputs that sound plausible but are dangerously wrong.
Yeah,
that's
exactly
it.
I mean, that's really the deal.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. And yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we're not completely, no matter what our podcast is called, I don't think we're completely anti-AI. I feel like there's a lot of applications that it could be very useful for, but I don't like when it wanders into the creative space or starts like thinking for people, or you start using it as your therapist, or it becomes your girlfriend or whatever. I mean, that's where you're crossing over into the danger zone, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, at the same time, that's the place where it uses the most energy, most water. And that's the place where it's kind of depleting the rest of our life. Yeah. Just in order to answer those questions and become your girlfriend or boyfriend. It's
exactly
ridiculous. But use it for the tool that it is, to help cure cancer. Focus our AI attention on curing cancer.
Right.
Focus it where it belongs. Don't focus it on everybody using it to have a new boyfriend or girlfriend, or for making a decision whether or not I go to one movie or another movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, stop doing that kind of thing.
It's a tremendous waste of resources, just to even ask it, driving directions or something. It's, I don't remember the exact calculation, but it's ridiculous how much energy and how much water and how much just to do like that simple task that, let's be honest, it's not solving a problem that existed. It's we were already doing that just fine with the old-fashioned Google machine,
Yeah, exactly. There's a journalist, Karen Howe, and she's been kind of a superhero, and she's been on the front lines of this whole conversation and really diving into the price that we're paying on, with these data centers and the psychological trauma done to the global South that has had to go through these images and this text and categorize them. And there's a professor at the University of Washington. She works at Paul Allen's Institute as well. And she says the fatal flaw is that they've gone for these mega LLMs, these huge models, as opposed to, she really feels like there should be niche models, mid-sized models that are grabbing data that's specific. So when you were talking, Terry, about like the, cancer, for example, it's like a Ferrari, right? It's a specialty, and you don't need the kind of resources you do with when you're trying to cull all the information from the entire world in nanoseconds and spit it back to a person in a really sweet way, or, sycophantic way that gets them to thumbs up you afterward. And that's we need to break away from that. That's the model. They don't know how to monetize it. And I think that's where that is coming from, is they want those thumbs up, those dopamine hits like they got with Meta, Instagram, Twitter, and all those. And they're trying to overlay it onto this AI tech, and so that they can make it a subscription service. But I really think that the future should be, we keep pushing back. I'm so excited about humanity because we're pushing back on this. It doesn't matter what colored tie you wear, red or blue. It's wrong. This is absolutely, we didn't consent to this. And maybe these smaller models are the key. I think there are uses for AI. How do you feel about these authors that are using AI to maybe write, research, or edit their books? How do you feel about that, Terry?
So that's an interesting question, because research is research. Right now, people don't know how to research. What they do is they go to Google and the AI tells them something, and it could be right, it could be wrong, and then they use it, which is a useless. They need to learn how to actually research and dig deep and go to the sources that they know are honest, and then read the pieces themselves. They need to actually do the research and not just ask a question of your neighbor, right?
Yeah.
I love these kind of things, because how often is it that you ask your friend or something, you're out running around, you say, God, I wonder if it's going to rain. And they give you an answer. They have no idea. They have no idea if it's going to rain or it's not going to rain, but they'll give you an answer. The same thing with everything else. You ask a question and they try to answer it. That's their job, whether it's right or wrong. That's exactly what we're getting from AI and Google and all these other things right now. They're answering the questions without knowing the answer, right?
It's like that saying, always an opinion, but rarely right.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Can you imagine like marching somebody up to one of those old university card catalogs? Like, you remember, like,
Yeah.
like we had one of those things in my university library, and that thing, it was like it was like a there was enough of those cabinets strung together, you could fill an apartment, it was huge,
We had this thing at University of Washington. It was in the undergraduate library, which is pretty infamous because somehow we were listed in Playboy as like a good place to pick up people. But they had this thing called the
so was my university.
It was. Yeah. I love that we have that in common, and we're also trauma bonded.
The dorm I lived in was like that one of the #1 party dorms, and it's like I don't see what they're talking about, but okay.
Well, we had this answer wall. It was it was magic. It was a miracle. And you had a question. So, okay, why do we say, I'm trying to think of one of the questions that I asked the answer wall, and you'd write it on an index card. You'd say, where does the saying happy as a clam come from? And then you'd write it on your index card, you'd pin it on the answer wall, and you'd come back later that day and a librarian will have answered your question. And it's like the coolest thing ever.
Okay, now that's fun. That's cool, actually.
It totally is. Somebody should have that website, the answer wall. That'd be dope.
Yeah, you turn it into a game.
Turn it into fun.
They just shut down Ask Jeeves, so maybe we should bring back the answer wall.
Ask Jen and Jesse.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's really it kind of freaks me out that so many people seem to be. I understand that the tech companies and social media have realized that because they're all about quarter to quarter growth, and they've realized that they've sort of hit the window. It's like everybody who's using our stuff is already using it, and everybody who's never going to use it is never going to use it. So they had to create this new thing, you know what I mean, to suddenly to make people go, oh yeah, okay, to get them venture capital dollars rolling again, and start passing them bags of money around. The people though who don't have any skin in the game, who are the apologists for it, are the people that just like it blows my mind. It's like why are you so actively defending AI? Just it's just a tool, you know what I mean? If you want to just take it down to brass tacks.
Well, we've been using these tools for years and years and years. I mean, every software package out there that does something, whether it's CAD and CAM and whatever else that's out there, that's all this is. It's just some kind of data that we put it in there. We said, this is what I need to do. Can you do that faster than I can? Well, sure, I can do that faster than you can. The thing is, and you hit on it over and over again, Jesse, and that's that it's about money. That's all it's about. And so all of a sudden, they want to do all these things, and the people want it too. So the people who are using AI to write their books and to make their paintings and do all this stuff, they're just lazy people. They don't have any creativity or don't know how to be creative in a way that they can feel it. Because what we all know is that when you're actually in that zone of creating, there's a feeling to that. When you're working with AI, there's not a feeling. It's a production. It's a product. And all they're doing is they're trying to do it faster so they can make money faster. And so the idea that when you enter into it is all wrong. And this is always what happens with the world in general, is if you step into this with the wrong intention, you're going to get the wrong result.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, no, I agree with you for sure.
With people, I switch jobs because I get paid better. Okay, well, let's see how that works out, because most of the time they find that, oh, I really didn't like that. I didn't like doing that. I love the people I've met over the years, and I do talk to a lot of engineers, and a lot of them are engineers, where they'll say, oh, I was offered to become the manager of the department and make more money, but why would I do that? I love what I do,
Yeah.
I'd be doing what I do. So I just stay here. Let somebody else manage. And sure enough, the other person they put in management, we all know this, right? They get to a certain point where they can't manage. They don't even know how, but they went for the money. And now they're unhappy and disrespectful to everyone else because they're unhappy, and they make everybody else miserable. It's not necessary. Let the managers manage. If that's the kind of person you are and you're a good leader, then lead. But let's be honest and pay the people accordingly to what they're doing anyway. That engineer who chose not to be the manager is a great engineer. Pay them anyway. Pay them what they're worth. Then they don't have to do all this. My son once told me, he said, Dad, you don't quit your job anyway. You quit your boss. And
yeah, that's right.
So
that's a good point.
You get the wrong boss. And I've seen people, right? We all have. They get a new job and they're loving their job and their boss, and they get along and everything. And then the boss leaves and the new boss comes in and it's like, oh, shit. This isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And so it's happened to me.
Yeah.
On one occasion.
I mean, what you just said about engineers, I would take that back to what we were talking about, like writing our first novels and stuff. It's like, if you've ever felt that rush that you get when you're in that creative zone, you know what I mean? And you're doing the work, and it sucks sometimes. And like you're up late and you're tired and you're cranky and you're pulling your hair out and you can't figure out exactly, how are these two plot points going to intersect eventually? And if they don't, then this whole thing falls apart, and I've wasted months. But if you've ever felt that, I would make the argument that there's no way you can take that step down to AI,
right,
without having some ulterior motive, like you're talking about. Like, I'm just going to crank these books out just as fast as I can, But I mean, if you're in the zone, I know people who don't use any of that stuff. They got a book coming out every 2 months. I mean, I don't write like that. I'm not that fat, but like a lot of people are, and they get on that schedule and they're just turning those things out and have been consistently for years. People, that we used to be our colleagues,
Well, I think about, and what you guys are talking about is channeling. I mean, when you are in the flow and you're actually in that creative space, I remember that I would want to have I couldn't start my first draft on Word, right? That bouncing cursor and that blank page freaked me out. So it always started with notebooks for me, pen and paper. It felt safe, but sometimes I needed just the flow of empty words behind me. So I'd have the radio on where it's like talk radio. I wasn't even listening to what they were talking about, just to kind of get over my anxiety. I was in the mindset of letting the words flow, and they were for sure. But it's very isolating to be an author.
Yeah,
you have to be
totally.
alone with yourself. You have to be in a space. It's almost a meditative state in my situation. And you have to just be open to being a channel for this idea of the universe is giving you. And you're just kind of like the scribe for it in a lot of ways. And I don't know. I feel like AI it totally ruins the vibe. You give it to a machine and then it comes back and it's like the worst game of telephone to me.
100%. You know, the thing is that we do this. People live in general to feel like they're living and to feel that sense of connection, whether it's with yourself or with others or whatever else, that thing that goes through you. And this is why a lot of people don't like the putting the hubcaps on the card type job. It's just production. And that's what AI feels like is production. I write a lot of technical articles for technical journals. And these days now they say, well, we'd like you to do, I deal with a couple agencies, is to use AI to create the outline, and They're telling me all this stuff. It actually takes me longer to do all that and to have it look at it and tell me what words are important. Are you shitting me? I know what words are important.
No
I've been doing this
kidding.
for 30 years. So it takes me less time to just do the piece. For a while, I was working with a company that they would do these FAQ kind of things, and they send you an article or two and they'd say, we just need questions, But first you need to do the outline, of what questions you're going to ask. And then you get that back and we approve it, and then you answer, and then it goes back and forth like this. It's like ridiculous. You read the articles, I write the whole thing, and then I pull the pieces out and give them the outline, right? And it's always, oh, this is a great outline. Good, because I already wrote the piece. And this is what happens, I think, with AI, is that it slows you down. And there's more and more research saying not only are you getting bad answers, but you're getting people to not be able to work as much. I go back to the same thing. I think we've had it siloed before we had all these LLMs. And if you were going to do something in biology, you had the biology software, and that's AI. You give it a lot of data and it spits out the information you need. You have an expert, somebody who's been doing it for years and years and years, look at it and go, yeah, that looks pretty good, and then you move forward from there. When we started to spread this all out so that they could make money off the general public who gets addicted to this crap, that's where the mistake was made. The government needs to step in and say, okay, we own AI. This is our job, not your job. So we're going to pay all these great programmers to cure cancer, to not ever have a problem with, COVID again. We're going to get people on Mars and make it actually work for us, so that we can actually get there and not try to depend on companies like SpaceX, which is fine, but they have to make money too. And start doing the things the right way so that we can get results that are actually beneficial for everybody. And I don't think having my girlfriend, or at this point, I'm thinking, 3 or 4 girlfriends. I'm thinking maybe, we go
Right.
and I'll have 5 computers and a couple of phones, and won't tell
Don't
And a
tell
mini
it-
Mac.
Yeah, don't have them networked and don't
kinda
tell it
need a
the other
mini Mac.
phones. Yeah.
Apparently, the mini Mac is
Right?
the key to this whole thing, so it doesn't give away your API keys when
That's
you break up.
I knew a kid back in
That'll be
high school.
messy.
He had like he had 3 girlfriends like in different little towns around us, and none of them knew about each other.
Oh
And
my
he would literally like he you know, everybody, you remember when we'd had those notebooks in school that had that clear thing in there, and you'd slide something in the cover of it, you know, like your traveling
Yes.
or whatever. So if he was going to see one, he'd like put Eugene loves so and so. And then if he was going to be in the other town, he'd like switch him out. You know, he had all his stuff, his gear. You know, he'd make sure he was presenting like with the right stuff with the right girlfriend.
He was a high level player in the 80s.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
my
if
God.
you think about it, yeah, that was some forward thinking back then. You know,
yes, it was.
that was the equivalent of having like 3 phones. You know what I mean? And
That's right. Well, we might as well start off all our relationships with dishonesty, right?
exactly, because that always works out so
Yeah,
Well,
that
that's-
always works out.
Going back to AI, because that's the roots of AI. It stole from everybody.
Everybody. Yeah.
And that is the roots of it. And so, you know, my husband's a lawyer, so it's not the same as fruits of the poisonous tree. It's not, Jen. That's different. That's used in a very specific way. But to me, it kind of poisoned the whole thing, because it's like they can take everything from us, and now how dare they, because they're going after certain I'm seeing the AI model, the titans, they're going, you stole from our AI model. And now they're actually suing each other over this. And the massive taking of all of our creative stuff. And then they have the audacity to sue each other.
They're building it on stolen
Yes.
information in the first place.
That's
And
right.
then like now they're starting to have a dogfight about like, well, you stole my stolen stuff. Well, you stole my stolen stuff.
Maybe this is our country's karma, because we are all on stolen land.
Well,
I
the
mean,
thing
maybe
with
it's
these
just part of the
companies-
karma.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
thing with
That's
these
interesting.
companies,
Yeah,
you know,
it just hit me.
What are you going to do to them?
They know that.
stole from all 3 of us in this chat. Okay.
They have. They've definitely.
Okay. They have so much money. What are you going to do to them?
Yeah.
You know,
It's
sue them?
nice. It's actually,
Even if they eventually have to pay us, like it's nothing to them.
yeah, the UK
know what I
is
mean?
actually, it seems like the UK is the first one that's kind of leading the path. And I think there's like 3 or 4 big publishing houses that are going after them and suing, which is really good to see. It's something.
I mean, I hope so.
I was watching something last night on YouTube. One of the publishers from one of the big publishing houses, and he was talking about this, and they had removed a book because it was done with AI. And one of the questions was something about, you know, if I do the book with AI, is that okay? What was really interesting to me is that he said, you know, we can't copyright a book written in AI, which means if I publish it in my publishing house, any other publishing house can also publish that.
Mhm.
And he said, because we can't own something that wasn't done. The contract says that you have to have written it. And if you didn't write it, then it doesn't belong to you, and it doesn't belong to us either. And so he said, we will not publish that. Now, in the magazine business, they use all the AI detection tools. And what they do is they say, if there's more than 20% of this is AI, we won't take it. So there's all kinds of little things going on. And so when you're self-publishing, of course, you can upload anything you want. But the truth is, and I thought about this, after I saw this, I thought, wow. So all these people who are using AI and putting their novels up online with AI, I could download those and reuse them exactly the same way and publish it 12 other places, which is interesting. So that they really don't, because they don't own it. They can't come after me. I don't own it. They don't own it. It's just out there. It's AI. And so it's really an interesting thought to me about that, because when you apply that to all kinds of other things that are going on, then all these people generating what they think is creative stuff don't own any of it.
Mhm.
Wow.
So they really didn't do it. That's the recognition, is that you don't own it because you didn't do anything. You know?
hmm
It's a really interesting way
It
to think
totally
about it.
is. And then you have the algorithms. I remember a few years ago, I was thinking about making audiobooks out of my YA novels. And Amazon, people had complete careers as voice actors for these audiobooks. And all of a sudden, Amazon was basically changing the algorithm so that AI voices got all the preferential treatment. They were showing up on the search and doing all these different things. And I just wonder if that's happening in the publishing, the e-publishing field as well. It's like my daughter, I have a grad student daughter, and their partner, he's an accountant. He just graduated with his undergrad. My younger one that's in grad school, she's about to graduate from her master's program in instructional technology design. I mean, very fluent in AI, but they're finding that some of these sites where they're applying, they actually show a preference if you have AI has run through your resume, like you've used AI in some sense on your resume. And so then the AI bots that are grabbing the best resumes are showing preferential treatment. And it's hard not to want to game that system, but they're like, we're human beings. That's our big thing, is we're real human beings giving real skills and real eyes to any task, and we're teachable, and we're, shouldn't it be a good thing that we're showing that we're human beings? But apparently they're being downgraded because they're showing that they're human beings.
Right. There again, so the algorithm,
Yes.
is in charge, not the people. And I wonder how they feel about that, because when you interview somebody for a job, um, it's like you get to know who they are and whether they'll work with you and the other people in the office. But if all that's happened is your algorithm has gone through a bunch of resumes, I've often, in years and years when I was in corporate and hiring people, it was always, look, I don't hire a resume, I hire a human. And so when I hire a human, what I want in a human is a certain amount of interest and motivation, self-motivation, curiosity, things like that, because I can teach them almost anything if they have the basics in their resume. And I remember I've told this story a couple times. I was going for a job with a company that was in semiconductor business, and they were using an agency to scan through the resumes. And the guy wrote to me, and he was trying to be nice. And he just said, I'm just trying to be helpful here. I don't want you to argue with me, anything like this. But he said, I went through your resume and you didn't mention semiconductor anywhere in the resume. And that's what the job was for. I didn't write back to him, but I had written in the resume, I had worked for 3 of the top semiconductor companies in the country. And it's like, well, if you don't know who the semiconductor companies are, you're just an agent. And this is exactly what I think AI
You're
does with
right.
an algorithm. It
You're
looks
totally
for
right.
certain words, and if I didn't use that word, then somehow I'm not that person. But somebody who actually knows the industry and knows what's going on. And so the bottom line was, I would not have wanted for a company who allowed that to happen anyway.
Yeah, that's so true.
So it's really interesting to me that we're going further and deeper into these dark woods
They are dark woods.
instead of getting out of it. But you're right. I read more and more often that human traits and human interactions are becoming more and more important to the younger and younger people coming up. I think the AI thing it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Right now, they have all this money to play with it and keep it around, but it's not going to last that long. And everybody's fighting, the data centers now. Nobody wants to use AI. We're having a lot of pushback. That's because they put it out to try to make money instead of putting it out when it was ready. It was not ready when they started to put this stuff out.
70% across party lines in the newest surveys. Across party lines don't like data centers and don't want them built anywhere near where they live.
Wow. I mean, talk about an issue that unites everybody.
Yeah, like everybody's on the same page with that. They're just, if as soon as one shows up somewhere, that the protests start, they're having to sneak, they're having to buy land in secret, because I read a story this morning where a couple of council people, I think it was in Michigan, or at least one of them, resigned at the city council meeting because they were starting to get death threats from farmer, I'm not going to throw farmers under the bus, but people in the community who were just like, no, we don't want this thing. And obviously you should not be death threatening anybody. That's not where.
No, we're not going for violence. We're going for
trying to point out an example of, I really feel like this is going to get to a very dangerous spot, and I think people need to be cognizant of that, that it's, I'm scared that a lot of somebody's are going to get hurt over this because it's such a divisive issue.
I don't know how it happened, I guess because of our podcast, and Substack is a smaller group, but it was a month ago, Jesse, that somebody tagged me. He's a doctor, and they were, and other people in the AI sphere were tagged on it. He wanted to get people's opinions because the state of Utah had made a contract with a company out of the Bay Area. And the Bay Area had this AI bot that would basically fill prescriptions, but specifically psychiatric prescriptions, automatic, and they were using this AI interface. And Utah said, we're the testing ground for it. We need this because we have so few, RNs and doctors that can actually fill these prescriptions. It's going to really be a blessing. And I was like, you have just pushed a lot of buttons, because I know personally, it's not my story to tell, but it's my story that I lived, is especially with psychiatric drugs, it can feel like somebody's life preserver, their last life preserver. And so they need a human being to say, have you had more suicidal ideation? Have you felt like this? Have you felt like that? And the human being, you can go, nope, I don't know what you're saying. But the human being can see in the person and dig deeper and say, there are other solutions. We can do things with other remedies. So, and we'll see that where a bot's like, oh, okay, they said no problems, and we refilled it tenfold or whatever. It's pretty scary, and we need human beings. And I'm like, this is, what is the actual root of the problem? Why doesn't Utah have RNs and doctors there? What are they actually spending their time on? And I would argue maybe their hospital managers are saying, incorporate AI into your business day. And they're having to do 90% of their work of ignoring or pretending to go through the hoops. And they're losing that interface with their patients. Like, there's another problem, and this is a bad solution that literally will end lives. I am so against that. So
start with the abysmal state of most healthcare in the
United States,
the most prosperous nation in the world. It's a situation where it's once again solving a problem. It's the wrong solution to solve the problem.
Yeah, but the wrong people are being asked and talked to. I get a lot of reports and a lot of surveys and stuff for marketing in my job. And so I'm always reading through those. And I notice all the time with these companies, the executive management say, we're using AI a lot and we're going to use it more. The people below, the engineers and the technicians and secretaries and everybody else down below, they're all saying, we're not using it, and we would rather not use it more. So what's happening is just what we continually talk about this, but the executives think, I'm going to make money. I'm going to save money, I'm going to make money, and I'm going to have all this stuff going on. The people down here doing it are saying, geez, this is a pain in the ass. It doesn't work, and it's not wrong. And then I have to work harder. I don't want to use it anymore. And this is it. And we have these two levels. It is similar to what you're saying. So the hospital thinks, oh, I'm going to save something. Or even the doctor, I don't know, the doctor group that he works with says, oh, we're going to save some money here. And we're going to use AI instead of you. And we're going to have more trouble. We already know that AI tells people to kill other people and commit suicide and everything.
Yeah, we sure do.
Sadly, yes.
Unfortunately.
I think it was in Futurism, but it was Victor Tangerman.
He's our favorite.
We love Terry. Look at Terry throwing him out.
Oh,
we
my
talk
God.
about.
We are like his fan club.
We drop his name and like
Every
Futurism
week.
like every Tuesday. I swear to
Victor
God.
Tangeman,
Yeah.
Futurism.
He says the brain didn't, in one of their cognitive tests at MIT, the brain didn't fall asleep, but there was much less activity in the areas corresponding to creativity and processing information. Of course there was.
Yeah.
Because they're handing over their brain to AI.
Yes.
It's just, and so now we want that person. This is the fucked up thing. These, executives in these companies, I'm going to use more AI because I want my people to be that stupid.
Oh, exactly.
It's like, what are you thinking? Like, you're going to replace this guy. He's getting dumber. AI's making mistakes left and right. And you think this is a good thing for your company. Oh, I'm sorry.
God.
Yeah,
It's like that old trope that you used to see in 80s movies a lot where like you got the two security guards who are like watching a bank of monitors, and they're just kind of like, laying back and like, about to fall asleep in the middle of the night. Yeah, exactly. Or toking it up.
Yeah.
And then like and then like the heist or the monster like escapes or just
because they're distracted.
Because they're just there like chilling like just watching the water. And I mean that but that's it.
That's how they want us to be. I swear
that we want to put in charge of like literally everything right now.
It's so true. It's so true. It's so funny because I don't remember where I read it, but somebody, it was a long article, and they said at the end of it, they said, because of the same thing, they said, the thing is that AI can replace the presidents and executive staff of these companies easier than they can replace the people actually doing the work.
That
I believe with that.
That's a revolution I could get behind.
I could honestly like
clanker CEOs.
I could be into clanker CEOs. Yeah. That's where all your money and resources are going,
Yes. Yeah. So they don't get to travel, they don't get to have two houses and a boat. None of this crap.
They just have to work 24/7.
Look, these companies are not hurting for money.
No,
okay,
they're not.
No. They have the money to pay actual coders, engineers. They have the money to take care. You shouldn't have to piss into an empty Snapple bottle because you can't take a break, at the warehouse, because you're afraid that oh my God, they're going to replace me with the robots, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we all know who I'm talking about.
Yes, we do.
And who else I'm talking about. And the other one I'm talking about.
Well, Terry, before we hit the 1 hour mark, is there anything else that you wanted to share with us before? And then also we want our listeners to send you the love and know where they can reach out to you too.
Oh, sure. It's just my name at, www.terrypersun.com. And then all my books and stuff like that are there. So they can see all that stuff and do whatever they like from there. I do write a lot. I'm in the middle of another series right now. I just started putting up a series. I wrote all 6 books. They were novellas. My daughter calls them baby books. So I wrote 6 baby books. Kind of like Pulp Fiction, which I really liked. Pulp Fiction in the old days. 1,000 words or so, and they were just kind of fast and quick. And
I want to read those.
I do too. I'm queuing up those.
All I do is watch film noir on like the Criterion channel and stuff.
I picture them, Terry. I just pictured them on one of those wire racks that circles around and they're stacked up in there.
Oh,
God, I miss those.
Terry's sitting there like wearing a fedora. You know what I mean? Typewriter.
Smoking and watching everybody that's buying the books.
But it's a pseudonym, and it's Lee Chase, Leechase.
Oh, it's perfect.
It is perfect.
And my daughter talked me into that too. Nicole, she writes too. She's got 3 pseudonyms. She's really writing 3 different groups of books.
Well, I was going to ask you if Nicole was still putting out books, but obviously, yes. Yeah.
She's unbelievable, that girl. She was working with Lake Union through Amazon.
Yeah.
They bought a couple of her books. One of them they put on First Reads that she had 125,000 downloads in a day.
Wow.
Gosh.
Good for her. Nicole's great.
And she's now doing some romantasy type books. Series she's working on. So those kind of things. So she talked me into using a pseudonym. She said, just try it out and see how it works. So that's what I did. But Lee Chase,
maybe we'll have to talk to Nicole and get that perspective of the active, like that sort of like what's going on with like the book talk
the
and
industry.
all that stuff. Because I wouldn't say that my fingers on the pulse of book talk or,
not anymore. Mine isn't either anymore.
It's not really. But I'm interested in it because I think it's a huge marketing, that's a lot of downloads that.
So we'll have links to that. And is the, since it's a pseudonym, do you have it on a different website, or we can find it on your website?
So
okay, perfect.
Terry Persun, you can find Lee Chase. There's a thing in the nav bar somewhere that says the Lee Chase novels. And so you'll see all 6 of them there. Right now, there's 2 of them available and 1 for pre-order kind of thing.
Wow.
So, well, I know what I'm going to be reading.
I know, me too. Future. I know what I'm doing when we're off Zoom.
It was a lot of fun. My my wife is reading the first one and she's like, I'm not sure I like this one guy. And I'm like, good. You shouldn't.
You're not supposed to.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I like him a lot, honestly, but he's a foul mouth kind of joker,
anti-hero, little kind of You gotta have some of that.
Says all the wrong things, to the women in the book.
Oh.
What are we doing at the other? See, all these dames. See, I know. Yeah, that's what you want. That's the genre, man. It
totally is. Oh my gosh,
it was a lot of fun.
You're always welcome back to the show anytime to talk about anything. Even if something weird happens to you on a hike, like it always happens to me, you have an open invitation. Just let us know and we'll book around you.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, that the insight into with you being in that world and with the articles you write and having that having those relationships with all the engineers and stuff. I mean, I learned a lot today.
I did too.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it too.
If you have engineers, tell them to subscribe to Entertainment Engineering.
Okay. We'll put the links to that in the show notes too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Our purpose in doing that, we came up with this magazine because all the other business to business magazines and engineering magazines, they do the same shit all the time. Most of it's products, here's a new product and here's all the benefits and here's all the features. And then the engineers got to look at that and say, can I use this or can I use this? So we thought, first of all, we just give them solutions. This was actually being used in this product, period. And then we do the coolest ones that we can find. And that's why we call it entertainment engineering, because this is the stuff you would see on the Discovery Channel and stuff like that.
No, yeah. All right.
Is it like a quarterly thing or is it monthly?
It's weekly.
Oh my goodness.
Guess what's getting added to my RSS feed?
Mine too.
We pump out a lot of stuff, and most of it's aggregated. We find it all over the place. But we're getting more and more companies who are sending us articles and stuff like that. So we've done some pretty cool things. And, Nicole's done a couple of them. We went to see The Lion King on stage and went behind the scenes to see how it was done and what kind of equipment they used and all the
Oh, wow.
And
that's so cool.
Stuff like that's just a blast.
And you don't mind if we blast it out on our Substack, do you?
Oh, gosh, no. Please.
Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, I think engineers, well, I know because when I go to the trade shows, they tell me, the engineers say, this is the coolest thing. And we have, in this business, there's, now I'm giving you a damn pitch, but
I love it.
Business, the reading time online is like 50 some seconds, average. And ours are like 3 minutes. We have people on our site 11, 12 minutes. They're just reading and reviewing things and checking out the next thing to see what's going on. There's some really cool pieces on there.
Bro, I still subscribe to stuff like The Atlantic, so you're fine. I'll read all your articles. Yeah, that's. I'm not one of those that's like, oh my, I gotta get out of here quick. This is gonna take more than 20 seconds to read this.
Yeah,
no, that's not me.
I read everything.
Same.
So
I do too. Well, thanks for coming on our show. And as I said, you're welcome anytime. We can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, you're our science and engineering consultant now. So
officially,
welcome aboard.
Anytime. You're like right there with Victor Tangeman, tied for first.
Cool. That's all right. I'll go there. I have listened now to like 5 or 6 of your things, and at first, I got to be honest, I thought, oh, not another podcast. I'll listen and see what's going on, but it's so fun. I think the way you guys interact and the subjects you talk about and the way you allow the conversation to go wherever it wants to go, I love that. And it makes it interesting. And so, I now when I'm scooping horse poop at the farm.
Listen, that's a perfect place to listen to us.
Hell yeah.
100%.
You're talking about clankers and you're shoveling shit. That is
down with that.
Do it.
That's exactly what we designed it for. No,
honestly, it is.
Bro, I apprate that. Seriously,
I appreciate it too. I had goosebumps.
All we're trying to do is just like have a conversation with people and just be real, and not, because I'm like you, man. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and it some of it can become a slog, and it's like we're just trying to keep it fun and and keep people entertained.
Yeah, and also we're trying to.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I am really glad to hear that too, because really my whole goal is to just transmute the anxiety and fear around this into love, into understanding, into curiosity, and so that's our whole goal behind it. And we're just, so
many of the podcasts are trying to teach me something.
Yeah. And shove it down your gullet.
Exactly. Or they're saying the same things repeatedly over and over and over again, which is fine.
Yeah.
I could probably read their book. Same stuff, or I have already read their books. And so I like the conversation. Again, we get back to this is human.
It's human.
And so you don't get this anywhere else. If trying to teach me something, I can get that, AI can do that too and teach me the wrong things, but nonetheless, it can teach me stuff.
It can make you hallucinate too. Well, and going back to that too, everything we're doing is on purpose. Like our dogs will bark in the background. We will, stuff happens. We cuss. The art for it, I did that. It's a Sharpie pen art that I did. I want it to feel human because it is a beautiful thing to be in this human vessel and be connected to everything. I talk about it all the time, but it's like, this is a very special thing to be ensouled in this human vessel. And So I'm so glad you caught that vibe.
Yeah, life is
Now
great.
you're okay. Forget it. Jesse, he's our favorite over Victor Tangeman, isn't he now?
Yeah, I mean,
Don't do
that's
that.
You're our
Terry's-
favorite now.
Terry's definitely, yeah. I mean, I already liked him, but now I like super like
You
him.
know what?
so-
Just
Yeah.
add it to your list of awards, Terry. You win.
go.
You
There you
win.
I will do that.
All right.
Yeah, man. And
We'll
it's
come
really
back on.
it was really good to connect with you again,
It
man.
was
Like
really
don't be a
good.
stranger. You know where
No.
we hang out. And if you're hanging out online, like if you're, if you're still rocking the Facebook page or the Instagram or any of that, make sure you send us the links. We'll put them all up.
We sure will. All right. Much love to you.
Okay, same back. Bye-bye.
Clankers.
Bye.
Fucking clankers. Fucking clankers.